Hi everyone, our names are Nicole, Karan, and Wyatt, and we're going to be talking about what it was like to live a lavish life during the Roman period. In today's standard, there are some things that we view as wealthy or rich, such as having a large home or having a pool. But have you ever wondered what was considered wealthy in the time of the Romans? To mention a little history, the early Roman period was said to have been founded in 27 BC by Octavius, who becomes the first emperor of Rome. Prior to Octavius, Julius Caesar was a great political figure of that time period, and regardless of his reputation in the early decline of Rome, he sure did have a lavish taste as to what wealthy people of this time had in their homes. Many wealthy citizens alike in similar social classes to Caesar share a similar taste to wealth in an average wealthy person's not so average housing situation.
During the Roman period, people lived in houses based on their wealth, much like today. Wealth today helps determine the size of house you have and in what neighborhood it is located in. The main difference is back then, houses were a prominent way of classifying social status. In order to know what a wealthy person's house was like during the Roman period, one should know what a lower class house was like so that they can be compared. The picture shown here is an insulae, which was made out of wood and brick and often had no running water, heat, and or toilet. Poor people tended to live in flats known as insulaes, which were essentially three-story apartments. The bottom floor tended to be businesses such as shops with upper stories where the people resided. Lastly, a family would often live in these with only one or two rooms, so you could imagine how crowded and unpleasant these living conditions were.
Now that we have established how the lower class live, we can now discuss how the wealthy lived. The wealthy lived in homes called the domus, which is shown in the picture. The domus as seen in this picture was divided into many different regions. The vestibulum is the small passageway right after the door. The central area was known as the atrium, which is a number 5 in the picture. The bedrooms were known as cubiculums, and the dining room was known as triclinium. The main room in the house was known as tablinum, and this was separated by the main passageway by a curtain. Domus also had gardens, which tended to the area of the house where people would meet, and thus, since a lot of time was spent in the garden, they were designed to have a shade so that the sun would not toll on the people.
Domes were not only large, but they tended to be very well done. Domes tended to have marble pillars, marble statues, and mosaic walls, as well as mosaic floors. This picture shows a mosaic floor during the Roman period. Mosaics were a very big indicator of wealth and importance, as the fancier they were, the more expensive they were. Though domes tended to have such extraordinary features, they were decorated pretty simple, but one main upgrade from those of lower class houses was that domes did indeed have running water. Water was run through lead pipes, but according to archaeologists, the bigger the pipes were, the more people were taxed, and thus archaeologists can tell how wealthy a house was just by observing the pipes that brought water into the house.
During the Roman period, there were different social classes, which is represented by the house you lived in. The lower class resided in flats called insulae. The upper class lived in buildings called the domus. They were large, elegant buildings. In the Roman times, your house was a representation of how wealthy you were, and Romans took a lot of pride in it.